What's up, everybody? It's your favorite show, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Trey, and as usual, I hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. As you can see, we got my man Mark here, King Shark, as he goes. King Shark. Mark, I just read the name up on Mark. How's everything going, bro?
Blessed, highly favored, bro. No dollar. Loving this another Sunday with football. So God is good. God is great.
Indeed. Hey, man, it's always fun when football's here. Personally, we still got the WNBA finals. Might be the last one today, so we'll see. But got that little sweet spot because for me, it's a little transition because the NBA is coming up in about a month or so, a little bit less than a month. So I'm excited personally, but we're here to talk about football for right now. So, Mark, it is Sunday, so I don't want to try to talk about too many predictions, right? We will have another segment on this episode where we're talking about the games and what happened. But for the fantasy football fans, we gotta show y'all some love right quick. Now, Mark, I'm in 2 leagues. Are you playing football? Are you playing fantasy this year?
Yeah, I am. I'm just in the free league, bro. I have no real time to monitor my guys and all this other stuff. Like, man, I forgot to put a kicker in. I checked my phone, lost points. I'm like, man, look, if I was playing for money, I'd be hurt right now.
It may be, though. I mean, the kicker's not the most important player. Like when I'm drafting, I'm usually drafting my kickers like round 8 through 10, maybe. That's when I start considering the kicker. So if you don't have a good kicker, you could still potentially win. Same with the defense. But I do understand that's like 8 to 10 points. Like, kickers can get saucy out there. Like, it's stupid, bro. Like, I think my defense last week got me like 10 or like 16 points, and my kicker got me 9. And the saddest thing was both of them beat my quarterback, Dak Prescott. And, I'm not trying to rub salt in the wound. I'm just saying, like, bro, at the first half, he had 1.32 points. And by the third quarter, he had 1.38. I'm just saying I was hurting. So, you follow football a little bit more than yourself. So I'm curious. My team is currently situated looking like Carson Wentz, Austin Eckler. Then we got Javonte Williams, DK Metcalf, TJ Lockett, Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, the Bucks defense, and then Will Lutz, the kicker. Now on my bench, I have Allen Lazard, and I'll only list off the people who I kind of want to like insert because like I said, my kicker and my defense, I won't really substitute too often, right? So you got Allen Lazard, J.D. McKissick, Noah Fant, Alexander Madison, Jamison Crowder, and Rex Burkhead. Now, the starters that I listed off, right? Is there anybody off the bench that you would say, you know what, the starters I need to replace?
You said so like substituting your starters for anybody that you have on your bench. I feel like so far your bench belongs on the bench and your starters.
Really?
Yeah, bro.
Okay. So let me ask you this then. I had an inquiry today. Allen Lazard. Now we know Allen Lazard plays with Aaron Rodgers on the Green Bay Packers. He's listed as questionable, so that's why I put him on the bench this week. Let's go, Baker Mayfield.
Oh yeah, I got DJ Moore. Yeah, I got DJ Moore. I need them points, dog.
Hey, dog, I just want to say, bro, like, like, we might be able to watch it right quick, champ. I'm just saying. Let's go. I'm a Panthers fan, folks, and y'all ain't. Where's my jersey? This is crazy. Oh, yes, sir. Touchdown! That's what I like to see right there, baby.
Bro, I feel like Mario, dog, just what I needed. Like when that nigga eat the mushroom cut.
Yo, that's crazy. Hey, I'm not a Baker fan, people. I still want to admit that. But he might be able to do his thing, though. But back to Allen Lazard, though. So we got Allen Lazard.
I don't know.
He's questionable. Why do you believe he's on the bench? Because again, that was my reasoning for putting him up there. When I got Lockett, I do worry about Geno Smith being the QB. I think DK Metcalf is the bigger player, so he might. Actually, I don't know. I might switch Lockett over Metcalf because Lockett hits that slot a little bit more, so you might be able to hit him in the middle. But what's your issue for Lazard starting over those two?
My issue with Lazard is he's just been buried on the roster for quite a while. So I mean, you've got to think about what that inside knowledge with the Green Bay coaches. I mean, if he was really doing this thing, he would be out there. You know what I mean? He would, especially when Green Bay had a bunch of those trades, had a bunch of those receivers go down. He still didn't really show out like that. You know what I mean? And he was still kind of buried, either whether it be Aaron Rodgers not trusting him, or maybe the coverage being too great for him. Either way.
Do you blame Devontae Adams being there? Because let's be real, right? Devontae Adams is extremely better than Allen Lazard. No disrespect, but I mean, let's call a spade, right? So okay. Would that have? Because I think I will say this: Aaron Rodgers was Devontae Adams happy. Like he did like to favor Devontae Adams a little bit. Then you also have Aaron Jones. Tough. And I'm just saying, then there were some other wide receivers before Allen Lazard, but Lazard at least did contribute. He was productive. So I think now, as the number one option out on the wide receivers, and you want to spread the ball out a little bit more, him being the most consistent, at least expected to be, that might having Aaron Rodgers as your QB. I see how Devontae Adams did. I've seen how other wide receivers have thrived with that. So that's why I'm expecting him to play well. But again, you say he should be on the bench. So that's what kind of hit me. I was like, oh, that spoke volumes to me. That's like,
okay. So to elaborate a little more, I mean, if you think about last year, I mean, you had that stretch where I think his name was Robert Tonyan, the tight end. I mean, he was just scoring over and over again. So if you have Devontae Adams drawing the double team probably every play, the next read is usually wide receiver number 2, maybe wide receiver number 3. But instead it's going, a lot of these plays going to the tight end. That's showing that you might have a skill gap, you know what I mean, that's not being filled there. To where you got to look for your safety valve, i.e. Robert Tonyan. I'm not saying that Allen Lazard, I mean, I'm excited to, see what he can do. But I'm just saying those coaches, they know way better than we do. They look at them in the preseason, the off season. You know what I'm saying? All sorts of different ways they evaluate these guys. And so, you know what I mean? Now that you're in a situation where you're forcing them to be something that you probably know he isn't, and then you're trying to just live with the results. I mean, just look at last week.
Okay. I mean, to be fair, he didn't play last week, so I don't want to blame last week on him. Maybe if he's on the field, maybe they score a little bit more. You have a little more trust for Aaron Rodgers. Like I think at least early on, there might be a case for Allen Lazard to be a starter just because it's a new team. He's the one wide receiver that Aaron Rodgers might trust the most coming out the gate. But to be fair, too, though, he would be taking on that Devontae Adams role, which, like you mentioned, he'll get those double teams. So it'll be interesting to see how he does against those double teams now, getting more focus on them, because when you don't have a lot of focus on you, it is easier to produce. So having it be that wide receiver number 2 or number 3, and you also got to factor in the tight end having some factor as well. You do have less, I guess, pressure on you. So there, I hear you on that. He might have a higher, I guess, he might have a higher role on this team, but that production too, you got to see if he'll be able to produce. So I at least get that.
So like a high floor, limited ceiling. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Yeah, I can say that. Yeah, that sounds about right.
I can agree with that too.
Okay. Now, what about my man Rex Burkhead? Right now, he's a running back on the Houston Texans, and he got me 12 points last week. All right, so that's week 1 though. It's week 1. so we might have been a little lucky. And my running backs are Austin Eckler and Javonte Williams.
Yeah, I would still say he belongs on the bench. Reason being, Austin Eckler is electric. I mean, like,
Right.
I don't even have to elaborate. I mean, his
He got
production speaks
80
for
points.
itself.
Cool.
When you talk about Javonte Williams, if you look at what he did last year, and this is Javonte Williams from the Broncos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you look at what he did last year as a rookie, he came in and literally was splitting time with Melvin Gordon and ended up taking over the lead back role. I mean, so and he was in a situation that he overcame what was an incumbent starter. I mean, prior to his injury, Melvin Gordon was pretty electric, and so for him to step into that role and then just take over, I mean, that speaks to his talent. When you look at Rex Burkhead is doing what he needs to do, but the Houston Texans are kind of, I would say, like, they're in flux. They're just trying to produce however, whenever, and so being in that situation is a different story. I think of Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley, he's a receiver, talented guy, right? But when you need somebody to produce, anybody will do, and they'll get those points. You know what I mean? Because somebody got to run the ball. You know what I mean? You can't just throw the ball every down, right? So you expect him to at least get those opportunities to get those points. Whereas you have two starters that already are entrenched, and you know what I mean, they're recognized. You know what I mean? So I mean, if you want to, you know what I mean, and you do a little bit of research and you find out, like, okay, the Texans, they're playing some type of pass happy defense, they're going to have to run the ball. In that case, they give Rex Burkhead more opportunity. You know what I mean? But like, that's a situational thing, and I, barring injuries, I just don't see Burkhead overcoming those two.
Okay. Now I do want to ask, because point total wise doesn't necessarily matter, because again, it's a week by week thing. Like, you could be worse this week, and then the rest of the season you're much better than everybody else, right? So like, obviously numbers can change. But he did bring me in the least amount. But the receiving, though, he did get 5 receiving. He did receive the ball 5 times out of 8 targets, got me 30 yards. So it does seem like he's and got me 14 rush attempts. So it does seem like he's producing and getting the amount of touches that you would need. So I guess it sounds like then he doesn't need to be over my 2 starting running backs, but maybe he can be a quality flex option then.
Yes, I would speak to that. I mean, due to the nature that Rex Burkhead is more of one of those receiving type of backs, know that he's going to be able to touch the ball, whether it's pass downs or rushing the ball. I mean, I don't expect him to be a workhorse back, but he's going to see his touches to give him those opportunities, especially in the Houston Texans offense that needs production however they can get.
Okay. Now, from the flex position then, because I got Mark Andrews as my tight end. So I'm cool with Mark Andrews as my tight end. Now, I got TJ Hawkinson. You know what I mean? Like, Hawkinson, I had him last year. It was in the one we had with Freddie. And my man laid a goose egg for me in a critical, pivotal moment that I needed him to score. If he scores half his points that he was projected to, I win that game. It's wild. And right now, I'm looking at him in the third quarter. It's still a little early, but he's looking at that goose egg yet again. But I got him at my flex position. So we got Hawkinson, Lazard, or Burkhead. And you know what? I'll even put in J.D. McKissick just for shits and giggles. Who would you put in as your flex?
Burkhead. I mean, just based off our previous conversation, he's gonna get those opportunities. Whereas, I don't know. I mean, you're dealing with Jared Goff. I mean, still a talent, but I mean, so he has a tendency to lock onto a receiver and force the ball to said receiver. And when you do that, other people are not getting opportunities, right? So you see Hawkinson, who is a talented tight end, laying goose eggs. I mean, it's most unfortunate because it doesn't speak to his talent, but that's just the way the ball's being thrown. You know what I mean? Whereas, like I said, Burkhead, he's gonna touch the ball.
Okay. So then for Hawkinson, because again, he's a talented player. Like he's gotten me like 17, 18 points before. Like Buddy can run, you know what I'm saying? But it does he need to get traded in order to thrive a little bit more? Or is it realistic that he can get traded, I should say, soon?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that there is opportunity for that trade. I mean, if he's content with it, I mean, who are we to, try to nudge him any other way? I know my Cowboys, we always looking for talent, but also I think some of it is just matchup dependent. I mean, a lot of times you're gonna have a tight end either drawing a linebacker or safety. So if that safety's, some all-star, hell, Tyrann Matthews or something like that, then you can expect those type of goose eggs versus if, all right, we have a weak secondary, and the safety doesn't like to hit, cool, why not just dump it off to him, boom, give him those opportunities to get those flats, those ins and outs, those sort of things. So I don't know if it's because of that or is it more because of Goff himself, but if he starts to have issue with it, like I said, we're always taking talent.
Okay. Let me ask you this thing, because I know like Rudy Gobert has kind of sparked the interest of what is a reasonable trade, right? So in your estimation, what would be a reasonable trade for Hawkinson? Like if you were not speaking just for the Cowboys, speaking in general, what would be a reasonable trade? Is that like another draft? Is that a first round draft pick, second round, third round? Is it a Pro Bowl caliber player? Like is it an offensive line? Is it a defense? Like what would be a reasonable player or trade in general to get Hawkinson? And just Hawkinson straight up, just Hawkinson, unless you need another player to make that deal, fair.
Okay, and I'm all right. So globally, I would say third round talent, third round. Maybe if you got a third round to spare, and you pair that up with one of the areas where they're deficient. You know what I mean? I feel like even though right now the Lions are running the ball down the Redskins' throat, everyone can use more offensive line. So if you got some talented offensive linemen, maybe he's young, up and coming, but you don't have space for him right now, then why not just pair that up with a third rounder and upgrade your stick completely? I mean, because Hawkinson also, he's a pretty decent blocker. So then, you doubly solidify your line, and you also upgrade your receiving core as a whole.
Okay. So, all right. So if you're an NFL team, you may want to listen to Mark there, then you might be able to get Hawkinson for a little up and coming player that you might not need right now. So that might be. I would have thought you might want to expect to ask for more if you're a Lions fan. Like you might get more back, but that's all you got to give up as a potential player. I mean, you can find that in the draft real quick. So you might be able to get Hawkinson, who's a pretty good player. Now, Mark, you did bring up that you're a Cowboys fan, and I appreciate you brought that up. Because I drafted Dak Prescott. I drafted Dak Prescott, my boy.
Damn. Goddamn shame.
Yeah, I was a little hurt. I had my hesitations. I even got CD Lamb in my other league. So I'm a little hurt right now. Both play disappointing. But from your estimation, right? Do you have any optimism that Dak can come back within that 4-week time span that Jerry stated? And again, they stated 4 to 6. Initially it was 6 to 8. So I first stated like 4 to 8. But as a Cowboy fan and as a football fan, you play football, you play semi-pro. But you're not a quarterback though. But you understand how injuries work and stuff like that. Is it reasonable to expect Dak Prescott to come back 4 to 5 weeks that's on the earlier side of his injury time frame, or should we expect him to come back around 7 to 8? Because if you come back a little too early, that can mess you up. But if you come back too late, well, your season can end. So, what would you like for Dak to do?
Hell, I'd take 5. You know what I mean? Reason being, I've broken bones myself. You know what I mean? And I just had basic health care. These guys, you know what I mean, the Cowboy facility got them damn near in a cryogenic chamber on some Dragon Ball Z shit. Like, so, you know, having access to that, you know, greater access to healthcare and medicine, you know, I mean, you're probably able to come back from injuries a lot quicker than, you know, me or you. Like, one thing that is cautionary is it is his throwing hand. You know what I mean? So I feel like if the Cowboys do their due diligence, you know what I mean, that's something that they'll be monitoring, you know. But it is, again, it is a finger. So, I mean, it's basically what, after 4 weeks, what can he tolerate? You know what I mean? If you, after 4 weeks, you know, because that's, the average bone probably takes like 6 weeks to heal. You know, 6 to 8 weeks. But being that it's a finger, and in my opinion, you got 5 of them, tape it up. You know what I mean? And if you feel like you can go, give it a go. I mean, I expect the game plan to be a little bit different if he comes back 5 weeks. I mean, I feel like 5 weeks is a nice target. 4 maybe is a little bit too early, you know, but you still should, you know, once that 4th week hits, start seeing what he can do, start evaluating him, and then go from there. 8 weeks, if it's looking like it's 8 weeks, I hate to say it, I don't want to shut the season down, but I don't think I'm gonna keep watching. I'm gonna turn my TV when we play.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. So, do you believe Dak Prescott is your quarterback of the future? Yes or no? Just yes or no? Just yes or no?
No. I gotta elaborate on this, man, because I've been.
I'm gonna let you elaborate. I just want to know your thought process real quick on these two things.
I believe he is the Cowboys' quarterback of the future, provided. Okay. Hold on, I just gotta say, provided that, man, we put the people around him, meaning the brain trust. We had talent. But again, we didn't have the brain trust. I take it back. Like, Dan Quinn has done a magnificent job. But, I mean, McCarthy, the QB coach, you know what I mean? Like, we need some more pieces. I mean, they...
Okay. So then let me ask you this then. Do you believe your team is going to win the Super Bowl this season?
I'm gonna try to be happy today, man. So and then I don't want to lie on God told me today. So no, but I would like us to be competitive.
So then, and I'm gonna throw a little basketball term. You know what I'm saying? Everybody already know it though. Is it okay for you guys to tank? And the reason why I asked that, no, just hear me out. So right now you have CeeDee Lamb, who last year you had other wide receivers to take the pressure off, which we mentioned Allen Lazard was in that very same role last year, right? So if we know how you feel about Allen Lazard, is it fair to say that, you know what, let's give Dak a year off? Let's see what we can get for Zeke on a trade, because he's looking a little over the hill now, or getting to that point.
Disagree, bro.
So and then you can start getting the young assets that you need to help out Dak, because we did see what Dak can do with a quality team around him. You had that year one where you had, what were y'all like?
14 and like
y'all
2.
Y'all lost like 2-3 games or something like that. Like that.
Yeah.
It was looking scary. Like I was like, no, I don't feel like hearing Cowboy fans now. So we've seen what he can do if you get those weapons. Well, you start being able to draft, you can help him out for the long term. So is it fair to say that, you know what, just let Buddy come back week 8, let the wide receivers develop? Because I mentioned how in Green Bay they need to develop, but who has the better situation right now? Is it on the fly with them, or is like for the Packers, or is it without a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys? And now, well, you get to let those wide receivers develop, get a little like kind of iron out the kinks, if you will. So then when Dak comes back, okay, now you start to get a little momentum. You don't have to get the number 1 draft pick, but just get a quality draft pick. And you also get some, I guess, chemistry during the rest of the season. And that way it carries over maybe towards the next season and y'all already primed and ready to go. Is it fair to say you guys need to tank and go that route, or you still want him to come back earlier?
I want him to come back earlier. We gotta think about things, and I know it kind of pales in comparison because I mean, like, who are we? We regular people. But you making $40-some million to not play? I don't get paid not to work. I get paid to work. So
He
I
would
mean,
play though.
if
He
the
would come
season,
back week 8. He would come back week 8. You're just making sure he's healthy. Because again, if you know you're not going to win a Super Bowl and you're coming back injured, why rush? You got a whole rest of your career.
facts, but here's where the thinking is a little bit different between basketball and football. You got 82 games. You know what I mean in basketball. So I mean, you have a longer, a bigger sample size to say, hey, yeah, and 8-8, especially in our division, lose 8 games and win the next 8 and 9, which is improbable most times.
You mean to tell me that you believe if y'all?
I don't think we're losing 8 games back to back, dog. I just don't.
I'm not, but I'm just saying, like, so if y'all come into the season, or when Dak Prescott comes back week 8, right, and y'all have out of 8 games 3 wins, you believe that y'all can turn the season around with Dak?
Man, I'm a Cowboys homer, so I'm gonna just say, yeah, bro. Like, do I believe it all the way? No, I would be lying to myself, and I try not to lie to myself, no matter what the situation is. But what I'm saying though is, still, you get paid to work. Like, you know what I mean? You gotta at least, I mean, like, okay, maybe we'll switch up the, you know what I mean, the play calling. I mean, because look, we see that we're not going nowhere. Okay, then why try to trash the man's arm? But you need to put that jersey on and go take them snaps because you get paid $40 million to do so. That's all I'm saying, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we think about us. Like, man, if I don't clock in when I need to clock in, even though I work from home, praise the Lord. But if I ain't, you know, my light ain't on Microsoft Teams, then my manager might be like, hey, man, like, everything all right over there? Check in.
But like you got it. So I think, so I look at Dak Prescott as not your typical worker. Like, I look at us as your typical worker. We could get replaced real quick if you really want to be real about it. Like, oh, okay, yeah, we can find someone with this resume. Cool.
That's not.
I'm not saying who they replace us with is better. I'm saying they can replace us. But it's not that easy finding a quarterback with Dak's resume. Whether he has not won anything at all, it's still hard to get to the playoffs. He's still considered one of the top quarterbacks, however you want to look at it, like top 15, worst case, which is nothing to scoff at. Like,
you still gotta go and, like, bro, like $40 million. Like, I can see if it was Achilles
assets though too.
Yes, bro, but like I can see if it was Achilles, or like, man, you broke your collarbone, Tony Romo, or you know what I mean, did something to your throwing on, like, legit, like, damn, like, hold on, man, that's
though, right? It's a throwing hand, right?
Huh?
But don't you need your thumb to hold the ball? Like, imagine trying to write without your thumb.
$40 million, I figure it out. I mean, if you think about, bro, like, for real, like, if you look at the, like, you know, you watch the NFL films, you'll look at some of the QB's hands, shit all fucked up. Why? Okay, bro, like, I mean, come on now. Like, if you really want to be there. It's a thumb. It's a finger. They got all types of braces, all types of.
I feel like, you, but I know just by trying to drive with my thumb messed up, I can do it like this, but it's still a little pain. It's still a little annoyance, and that's just like, that's something that I can kind of hold. Like, a wheel is much thinner than than a football. So, like, if I got to hold, like, that's tough. And then we got to talk about accuracy, precision, which is something critical for a quarterback. Like, if we didn't have to talk about precision, Cam Newton would be the GOAT of quarterbacks, easy. So, like,
bro, I'm saying there, bro, is you can get cortisone shots. You can get all sorts of different treatment. You can change the play calling. But if you don't come back 8 weeks for a finger, like, that's what I'm saying, bro. It's if he poor shoulder, okay, man, like, that's debilitating. That's really messing with that man's career.
Okay.
All the stuff that they got for a finger, bro, that would be some real punk assness, like, to sit out a whole year for a finger. I'm sorry, unless a bear ripped it off or something. Like, I just don't see why. Okay. $40 million. You got 40 million reasons to play.
Okay. All right. So it's the type of injury more so than the injury itself. Okay. All right. That's fair. Then I'll let you have that one. I think that's fair then.
I had to warm up a little bit, bro.
Although I will say, if he comes back and still feels like, oh, I'm not playing, I don't have it still because my thumb's still messed up, like, y'all can't hold that against him. Or would
Yes,
you
we
hold
can't
that?
hold it against you, but like I feel like whatever your story will be, you know what I mean? It's 7 years in the making. They would definitely have to put that in size 82 font on your NFL resume. Didn't play because of a whole year because of the finger. Like I don't know, man. That would be some real punk assness to do. I mean, I'm just me. And I'm
Okay.
like, bro, like my whole care, I'm like, man, I don't even want this bill. You can afford the bill. Go get the best treatment so you can get back on the field.
Okay. That's fair. I'll let you have that one then. Well, I mean, that was all the questions I had for the fantasy. I hope I win. Right now, my teams be fluctuating up and down. It'd be annoying trying to look at. Like I try to check it 2 to 3 times during the day just to see how things are going with the fantasy teams and matchup wise. And like I'll look at the production. Sometimes you'll see, oh, you have a 63% chance of winning. Come back 3 hours later, you had 17. Like what? What just happened?
I don't even try to watch that shit, bro, because that joint just be making me mad. I be starting out the day feeling fresh as a daisy, bro. By about 3 cups in, and it's 4 or 5 o'clock. I'm like, man, gotta take an extra shot, bro.
Like, talk about being upset a little bit too. Like, I'm happy Carson Wentz sat up there and scored for the Commanders. But dog, I would like to have.
I need them to get they ass bent over and stroked. Yeah, all that stuff the Redskins fans been talking. Who won 1 game? I want them to hang 50 on the ass.
Yeah, bro. Like, I kind of need.
I'm mad I can't get the game, but yeah, it is what it is.
Hey, there we go, fellas. I likes that. Shoot.
Yeah, but
quick.
Shit. Oh, 6:30. I'm gonna be on that.
That's tough. I like this. It's kind of clean.
It sounds like they fighting next door.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's why I like that. I'm trying to get my family up out of here. Fuck this.
Yeah, no, they definitely don't need that. But ladies and gentlemen, though, like I said at the beginning of the show, we will be covering what happened during the second week of the NFL. So stay tuned. Mark, I appreciate you coming on the show. We will be back. So stay tuned. We got to pay some bills real quick.
I did not know you guys were still here. As you can see, we're at the back end of the show. No pun intended, but look, hope you all enjoyed it. And before you go, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow the IG account, share the content to anybody who's anybody. And most importantly, leave your thoughts and comments below. But I got to go back and play Buddy in 2K, so let me unmute him real quick. Excuse me. Hey, boss, I'm back. Nah, you better catch this word. You know we get buckets around here, kid.